And this is a graphic they provided showing the mission plan here and what they're doing. You can see all the different maneuvers they have to do. So for those who maybe aren't familiar with the three-dimensionality and what it takes to get to the moon, can you walk us through maybe some of the mechanics of what are happening in this graphic here?
Okay, yeah. Of course, you launch to get into Earth orbit. There's a certain amount of speed that you need so that you never get back into the atmosphere. If you were to dip back into the atmosphere, the drag from the atmosphere slows you down a lot. And so you lose all of that energy that you spent so much fuel getting. So that first launch gets you into Earth orbit and up above the atmosphere. And like I say, that's about 17,500 miles an hour worth of what we call delta V, change in speed. That's not enough to get you to the moon, though. So what they're doing is they're doing multiple orbits of the Earth, and each orbit you do a little bit more propulsion to get the highest point of that orbit a little bit higher and a little bit higher and a little bit higher. Each time you go through the closest point to Earth where it's most efficient use of your fuel, you run your engine for a little while and it boosts the opposite side of the orbit, the high point of the orbit, up a little bit until it's almost enough to get into where the moon's gravity dominates instead of Earth's gravity, and that's pretty close to the moon. So that last orbit, as you come down by Earth to perigee, you fire the engine one last time, and that sends you on the way to where the moon's gravity will capture you. But you capture into an orbit that's pretty high. You use the engine to slow down enough to get into that lunar orbit, and it's pretty high. You see that point where the path from Earth up to the moon is tangent to that circle around the moon. That's where you fire the engine to capture into lunar orbit, slow down a little bit, and then you do more burns to slowly take yourself down into a very low lunar orbit. I think they're saying 100 kilometers above the lunar surface. So you're doing this delta V change in speed to get your orbit down low enough to the moon that you can do the last maneuvers, which the next to last maneuver is firing the engine so that 100 kilometer altitude comes down to just a few kilometers. And then when you get down to that few kilometers altitude, you then fire the engine to take you down to the lunar surface.